the ones that are known for what happened. So I guess, yeah, so this is a question and answer session. So please type any questions you have about these countries into the chat. This is me in Sarajevo. Hungary, Austria, and former Yugoslavia are up for like questions. It can be anything like what kind of food they have there, or, you know, if you want to get more in depth, you can, but it really can be anything. These are just a couple of pictures of Austria and Hungary. So yeah.
How about you say maybe some of your favorite things about living in Hungary or Austria?
Okay, sure. So I studied abroad in Austria, in Vienna, during the fall of my sophomore year. So it was in 2015, actually, after I studied abroad in Bosnia. And Vienna is a really nice place. It's a very multicultural community. A lot of different ethnicities and people live there from around the world, but it's still very like classically Austrian. There's a lot of like high culture, as they call it, with operas and concerts and, you know, cathedrals and all these things is really cool. But my favorite part about it was that you just have all types of people living there. Hungary, on the other hand, is, I guess, a little closer to my heart just because I am Hungarian and my family lives there. It's more politically controversial, but we don't have to talk about that. It's a beautiful country though, and has a lot of history of its own to offer as well. And these two countries, Austria and Hungary, were of course like connected and together during the Habsburg Empire, starting from 1848, and they play into the former Yugoslavia as well because it was a part of them, I guess, like it was an annexed territory. So yeah, I don't know. There's all kinds of things that I like about all of these countries, to be honest. I will say that, so Austria is probably one of the most beautiful countries in the world, in my opinion. And I wasn't really expecting, I didn't know what to expect when I went to Bosnia or the former Yugoslavia, but I think Bosnia is definitely up there. The geography is gorgeous, and it's just a fascinating place to be in terms of like politics and other things, which of course as a poli-sci major I'm interested in. Hungary too is very nice. A lot of great food there. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What are some of your favorite foods from both countries or popular foods?
Okay, so probably the most popular food from Austria is Wiener Schnitzel, I would think. It's like in Vienna, it's basically like, it can be like a pork or venison, like fried thing, and it's eaten with Kartoffelsalat or potato salad with like vinegar, which is super good. Hungary is known primarily for its goulash, which is like this really thick stew with like beef and carrots and potatoes, and it's really like a lot of spices. But like Hungarian cooking is known for its use of paprika, which is like a spice, and it's primarily exported from Szeged down here. By the way, my family lives here, which is like right by Austria, maybe like an hour away from Vienna. But in Bosnia, let's see, the most popular food probably, or maybe the most well-known food, is called cevapi, which is like pita bread almost, but it's like better than pita bread with like little sausages on the inside, and you can eat it with like hot peppers and like these sauces or like sour cream. It's very good. But Bosnia also has really good like pies, so like spinach pies or like cheese pies, and they're fantastic. So I don't know, there's a lot of good eating that you can do in these places.
What are some popular sports? Popular sports.
Oh, popular sports. Let's see. Popular sports would probably, it depends on the country. So I can definitely answer to Hungary. In Hungary, there's water polo. Water polo is really popular, and we're pretty good at it, actually. Like in the Olympics, we tend to get to the finals, or we've won like gold medals in the past. So water polo is a big sport in Hungary. Soccer also, but the Hungarian soccer team is not so good. So you're usually cheering on like Real Madrid or someone, you know, from around, or Bayern München. Yeah, but so soccer and water polo, Austria too. I think soccer is a big deal. I don't know as much about Bosnia and the former Yugoslav countries, to be honest, about sports. Um, but I can imagine that soccer just being a very like big deal in Europe is probably a big deal there as well.
Is American music popular there, or any music?
So in terms of music, let's see. So you hear music from all over. In Austria, particularly, it's American music is played in all of these countries, just on their like radio stations. But music from around like Europe is also played, particularly Great Britain, like in the UK. However, like there are like French musicians that are played and Germans, and like in these specific countries, especially like in Hungary, I know, like Hungarian artists are also played on the radio. So there's like a good mix of different songs and different types of music, but like famous songs, especially from the US, are played like a lot. There's just a lot of different things that you would hear on the radio. But like if you go out to like so like bars and like dancing and clubbing and stuff is particularly enjoyed in Eastern Europe. You hear all kinds of music, and a lot of American songs are played as well. But they're more like upbeat songs.
What are the differences or similarities with technology or social media?
That's a good question. Okay, so technology and social media. So I can answer more for Austria and Hungary in this than Bosnia and the former Yugoslavia, just because I've spent more time in the former countries. So I guess I'll take a stab at those rather than former Yugoslavia, because I don't want to be saying something that's wrong. But pretty much all of the like technology that we have is available there. It's just not as widespread. So you can see people using like iPhones and stuff, but it's very expensive, especially in Hungary and even in Austria, to like have an iPhone. It's a lot more expensive than here. I mean, it's expensive here as well, but like it's just not as common, I guess, that you would see. And in terms of like social media, Instagram and like Facebook and Twitter are all like there and you can use them. However, there are also like national like versions of it. So like in Hungary, there's like a Hungarian Facebook called Eviv, and like people use these, but they're more so on the like the actual Facebook. But yeah, people use social media a lot. Like I have a cousin in Hungary, in Csenga, and she uses Instagram a lot. And so like, and a lot of people do. So it's a pretty commonplace thing. And of course, like laptops and computers are very common too. But mainly among like the younger generations. So kind of a funny story is that my grandparents in Hungary just recently got a laptop. So I'm very happy about that because we can Skype and it's easier to contact them. But they're not as like social media savvy as most people in Hungary.
What are the differences in like clothing or fashion, either modern or traditional?
Between the US
and Austria or Hungary? Is there any difference in what people wear?
Yeah, so in terms of clothing, Europeans are generally viewed as being like maybe more formal in their dress. It's probably a good way to say it, like in everyday life. So like you wouldn't really see someone like in Austria or in Vienna walking around in like gym shorts just to walk around in. Like that's not really a thing, but yeah, they're usually more formal. In terms of like traditional clothing, it's very different. I should have probably included some pictures of that, but there's definitely like this like kind of like traditional folk style of clothing in all of these countries. And so yeah, there's definitely that. But like in terms of like modern day style in Bosnia, for instance, of course, like the people who are Bosniaks, they, dress differently, maybe more conservatively. The women, especially, their heads covered. And yeah, I don't know. It's pretty good. I mean, the clothing, but usually the younger people, like in these countries, are more like fashionable, kind of just, I guess, in general. And the older people like, especially the elderly, like don't really dress up as much. But yeah, I mean, you can get like all kinds of stuff there. So there's like H&M in like all these countries and big fashion like names and stuff. So.
How is movies or TV different, or are there American movies and TV?
So in terms of film, there are American movies that come in like the theaters and even on TV, but they're usually dubbed. So especially in Hungary, which means that there are Hungarian actors speaking over like the English, so that you don't hear the English, but you hear the Hungarian. And then obviously there are movies that are just like subtitled in the language. Yeah, I don't know. So in Bosnia, I remember Jurassic World came out when I was there, and they were playing it, all over. So, but it was in Serbo-Croatian. It wasn't in English. But yeah, they have pretty much the same movies that come out, or the big ones, like the blockbusters. And they also have movies from like other countries as well, like Germany or Great Britain, places like that play in the movie theaters. And on TV as well. And there are a lot of like imported television shows. So there are like some American shows, but like also from Turkey or Italy. They're like soap operas and stuff, all kinds of things to watch. So, yeah.
I think we're just out of time.
Awesome. Sure. So anyway, my last slide is just a big thank you. Thank you guys for listening. I know this is a really complicated topic, and I'm sure like there's just, so it's intense, but thank you guys for listening, and I hope that this was informative and like a good experience. So yeah.